Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our media availability for Minnesota State men's hockey program here. Wednesday afternoon, we're down at our home rink, the Mayo Clinic Health Events Center, and excited about getting underway beginning on Sunday. And, of course, the second game of the two-game WCHA series, although it's against a conference opponent. These are non-conference games. This upcoming weekend to start off the season for Minnesota State. We're joined right now by the head coach of the Mavericks. And as we go along here, we'll start off here just to know the ground rules. As we get underway, we'll have Coach Hastings with a statement about how things have been going here as we prepare for the start of the season. And then using our chat feature, I can ask questions based on what kind of questions we get here from people who are tuning in via Zoom. So kind of a unique thing. And we're excited that you're here, and of course, excited for the start of the season and anxious to get underway. And we're going to kick it off with Coach Hastings with an opening statement. Coach, floor is yours.
Thanks, PA. Appreciate everybody that's joining us today. Appreciate you being here. Exciting time. We've been waiting since March to get back to having a date to play, if we were going to play, when we were going to play, who we were going to be playing. And the guys have done a really good job up until this point of focusing on the things that they get to control: effort, attitude, preparation, used to having a full summer of team building, of getting our freshmen in and having them be comfortable by this time. In today's pandemic times, that's been a little more difficult than it has in the past. Social distancing, masking up, all the responsible things that we've asked our student athletes to do have made us change directions on some things and try to stay focused on the things that we get to control with others. And so really excited about our opportunity to play Bemidji coming on Sunday, Monday. But the preparation's been going well. Knock on wood that we've got our full contingent of guys that have the opportunity to play because we're healthy at this time, and hopefully that stays all the way through Sunday and our travels up on Saturday. So look forward to fielding any of the questions that you guys have regarding us. But our veteran laden group, our senior group, the forwards that we have, along with a guy you're going to hear from today, Reese Zamolik, Jack McNeely, and our goaltender Dryden McKay, are giving us a great foundation to build on from this point going forward. So at that point, I'll take any questions anybody has.
See, we have 6 folks who have tuned in here to our Zoom call. Appreciate you being on board. Anybody have any questions right now? You can just use the chat feature, and Coach Hastings can see them. I can also see them, and I can relay those to Coach Hastings here. If you want to ask a question, you can fire away.
And if not, while you're waiting, one thing that I wanted to bring up is we have been able to stay pretty consistent from our opportunity to go to a 20-hour work week through our CARA. The guys have done a really good job adjusting to that. With Tom Inkrot, our strength coach, our ability to go a little bit longer on consecutive days has allowed us to get into a little bit of a rhythm. We've had, I think it is 4 inter-squad scrimmages up until this time, and they're getting tired of playing each other. I think they're looking forward to trying to get to play somebody in another jersey. So first question.
Well, this one comes from Daniel McElroy from the MSU Reporter. Thanks a lot, Daniel, for this. How has COVID impacted your preparation, and how will it continue to affect the rest of the season?
Great question. One I get quite a bit, whether it's from other coaches or just concerned fans. Communication would be the word that I would say. We've had to learn to communicate differently and sending a consistent message multiple times as opposed to just sending it to a group of 25 or 26 at one time, because we haven't been able to all be together until just recently, when we've gotten up to testing multiple times during the week in weeks coming to competition. So our ability to send a message consistently, to get it to our forwards, our defensemen, our goaltenders, whether it's offensive zone structure, defensive zone structure, different things you're talking about as far as what our philosophies are, we've just had to do it more often in smaller groups. So those have been some of the challenges, as well as, that locker room's a special place. Coaches, we don't spend a lot of time in there because that's their time and that's their area. And with what we've had to do with COVID, we've had to split our locker rooms up until just recently, again, because of the testing, where we had half the team on one side of the rink, half the team on the other. And for those that played hockey, what you miss most isn't always the games. It's the locker room. It's that bonding. So it's been different. And just recently, with us being able to be together in the locker room, I'm already starting to see some progress. But great question.
Mary Rominger from KYC asks, have there been any decisions on team captains?
Not yet. Paul's been asking me about that because he knows I drag my feet quite often when it comes to those decisions. That'll be something that we'll address this week. As past history has shown, the guys have made good decisions. Myself, my two assistants in Darren and Todd, we get a vote, but we don't take the deciding vote. It's up to the guys. They're the ones that have to follow that leadership group. And we'll be addressing that here in probably the next 48 hours before we get on our bus and head to Bemidji. But it's something that has been on my mind for quite a while, and hopefully we'll have that tidied up by Friday.
Mike, along those lines with, this question's from Paul Allen, by the way. The senior class you had last year was a special one and played a huge role in success you had. The team had over the course of their 4 years with the Mavericks, and every year is different. You have another senior class rolling into here. You talked a little bit about captains, and of course, you don't necessarily have to be a senior to be a captain, but how important and what kind of role do you expect this year's senior class to play a role as a whole? You always talk about the group, and this seems to be a pretty good group as well.
They're our foundation. They're our rock, and as a group, not as a single player. One thing I've witnessed over my last 8 years here, we've had different models that have worked. I go all the way back to our first year when Uriah Hayes, he was the hammer, the team was the nail. When he spoke, everybody listened. It was real hard on Uriah because a lot of the expectations, whether if our guys were minding themselves on the forecheck or minding themselves at the bars on Saturday nights, I held Uriah responsible. And now the last couple of years, we've been fortunate to lead by group, lead by numbers. And I really feel confident in the senior group that we have, what they've learned from the group that you already referenced who just left on when to, when not to, understanding that there's a process here and a culture from top down, and that means the administration through the community, our involvement, that we're responsible first to ourselves, to your families, and then to each other. And I look forward to that group being the glue that keeps us together when things start to get hot. And I think if you talk about that group a little bit, and you're talking Jake Yaremko, you're taking, Jared Spooner, Gerads, Dewar, you start looking at that group. Then at the blue line, you look at Zamolik, you look at McNeely. McKay's been around and played a lot of hockey for us. We're going to need those guys to set the foundation and be strong for us when things start to get a little hairy.
Along those lines, Shane Puckato Frederick checks in with us here. It's good to hear from Shane. And he talks a little bit about this, that as well, referencing last year's class and how much different things are going to look on the ice without the longtime staples who graduated and left, and how is the team adjusted to the turnover, I think, on the ice?
Oh, we're going to be different. We've got a different look. There's some guys stepping into roles that, Mark left, Parker left, Charlie left, Connor Mackey, our defensive core. But I think it's ones that they're comfortable in stepping into because they're prepared. They've done the work. The test we're going to have will happen on Sunday, but I think that they're going to be prepared for it because they've been preparing for this opportunity since their freshman year. The majority of the guys that we're talking about have played an awful lot of minutes. I think we're going to have to be a team that beats you with our depth. We're going to have to buy some time for that young core defensemen, and we've got 4 that haven't played a tremendous amount in Malinowski, Bukes, Akito Hiroshi, and Livingstone. Those are guys that we're going to have to come back, and that veteran group of forwards, as well as the defensemen I've talked about, and Andy Carroll and Wyatt Amott, are going to have to tuck those guys under their wing and give them some support, whether that's before we're on the ice or when the puck drops at the Sanford Center in Bemidji. So it's different, but it's one I'm excited about because of the quality of people that we've discussed.
One of the names that hasn't come up is Dryden McKay. Of course, relative to turnover, you have your All-American goaltender back. And what are the expectations you have for Dryden this year as he enters his junior season?
Great question, PA. I've had that a lot. They've said, well, what is Dryden McKay going to do this year that he didn't do last year? And what are the expectations do you have on him, your staff, his teammates? One of the best things about Dryden McKay is his mental makeup. He's a calm young man. I think the expectation level that he puts on himself is greater than anyone that my staff or anyone of his teammates or anybody that's out there cheering for the Mavericks are going to put on him. He internalizes that. He's a guy that wants to continue to get better. Coach Connaught was explaining to me just the other day when they were going over penalty kill, Dryden was left off that group, and Dryden was a little upset by that. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to continue to get better. So excited about where he's at, what he can continue to accomplish. He's going to be busier this year than he was a year ago, just because of some of the things that I've already brought up. But I think Dryden's prepared, whether things go real well for him on a given night or not. The way he prepares himself with Brendan Pottersay, our goaltending coach, his expectations are high. And so I feel comfortable whether he's playing on a Friday, a Saturday, and in this case, a Sunday or a Monday, that he's going to give us an opportunity to be successful.
Jason Feldman from the newspaper over in Rochester and for the Rink Live asks, what do you expect from your senior defensemen this season, not only on the ice, but as leaders for the younger defensemen?
Well, today, we got together today, and it was really important that we had an opportunity to address some things as a group. And what I mean by that is our defensive core. And so, day in and day out, we lean on Reese Zamolik and Jack McNeely. But as I said to somebody earlier today that had called for a radio interview, they asked about Reese, and Reese is a rock. He's somebody that from the time that he stepped on our campus, he has made a positive impact for our program, for our university, whether he's on the sheet or off it, in the classroom, in the community. Phenomenal family. We've got Benny, his youngest brother, coming in here. Can't wait for him to get here. But that just means that Z's time's getting a little bit less every year. And I don't like that, because he's become a security blanket for us. And sat down and talked to Jack McNeely today after workout, and it was really just addressing the two things that you brought up. We need those two guys to be example setters to our young guys, also guys that we can lean on when things start to get a little bit tough. And those guys have been through a lot of battles, very important games, championship seasons, and they want to leave here in a real positive manner. So they're looking to try and promote our program on another step and try and get to the NCAA tournament, win a game, and try and compete for a national championship.
Okay, Don Westfall, who of course does play-by-play on our broadcasts for TV and our stream, checks in and would like to know your thoughts on the oddity of playing all of your non-conference games against WCHA opponents.
I love Tommy Saratori. He's a good friend, but I don't need to see him anymore. And I thought 4 was enough in the regular season, and right now we're playing them 4 straight. It is an oddity. And Don, good to hear from you. I appreciate you participating today. Hope you continue to do that throughout the year. You know what? It's these times. There's no playbook. There's no plan other than you put it on your schedule. And the one thing that I do appreciate about us playing Bemidji as often as we're going to, I talked to Ty Eidner today from Bowling Green, and we were talking about our 2 non-conference schedules. Theirs is a little bit different because they've got some people within a short time frame as far as a drive to get to. They've got some more cards in their deck on being able to play different programs. We don't have that because of our footprint right now, and everybody playing for the most part non-conference games inside their conference. And so with that, we just have to take them as we get them. And I know this, after we get done with our game on Sunday, we're going to be better because we played Bemidji. They're standard. They're a nationally ranked team. They're one of the most well-prepared teams in the country year in and year out. Every time at this time of the year, they're playing North Dakota, whether it's at Bemidji or whether it's at UND. And if you talk to Brad Berry, he's going to tell you they have to be on their toes if they expect to win a hockey game, and it's going to be no different for us.
Don has a question regarding the schedule and the situation we find ourselves in with Alaska Anchorage. Are we looking to fill those dates? What's going to happen with the weekend that Alaska Anchorage is supposed to play? We were supposed to play there, I guess.
Great question. Our guys have asked that also. And right now, we've looked at a couple of different options, and whether that's picking up a game or two, whether that's with the national program, whether that's with somebody else in our conference. You know what? You look at every day being something new, whether it's the union deciding they're not going to participate this year, the amount of teams that have decided to opt out. You've got Fairbanks, Alaska, who's opting in and staying in and staying in the battle and being a part of our conference throughout the end of the year. Those are open dates for us right now. They're going to be open until we fill them or we choose not to play. Right now, our plan is to try and fill those two dates. I just can't tell you who they're with at this moment. And we'll continue to try and stay flexible and fill them if something comes up that works out in best for ourselves and our opponent. And if not, the guys will have a little bit more time at home.
Okay, last question before we bring Reese in comes from Shane Frederick. As important as your older players are, your top two returning scorers were freshmen last year. How much falls on their shoulders to start the season?
Freddie, good to hear from you. Hopefully I run into you sooner than later. I'm a little concerned about what might get shut down, which is I know you don't mind going to the odd pub for a conversation. I hope to see you sooner than later and everything's going well in your world. But for us, I think it's very real what gets brought up when you talk about freshmen going to their sophomore years and the proverbial sophomore slump. Two guys that come to mind to me right away are, Lucas Sauter, who's the reigning WCHA Rookie of the Year, and Nathan Smith, who's a third-round draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets. When you're a coach and you see somebody have the success that they had in their freshman year, you get a little bit concerned, are they going to be comfortable over the summer and moving into this year? Both of them had outstanding summers. Tommy Inkrot definitely did his job with both of them. They're bigger, stronger, faster. Nathan Smith's 185 pounds plus. Lucas Sauter has come in with a drive that he just doesn't want to be a one-trick pony and come in and have a good freshman year, not back it up with a good sophomore year. So if those are the two guys that you're talking about, or at least the two guys that come to my mind, I like where they're at right now because they've shown me they're not satisfied. They've come in with a hunger. They're trying to be our best players every day. And if they continue to do that, I think they can have great sophomore seasons.